welcome to episode 13 of the LitRPG Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to LitRPG. I'm Ramon Mejia, and I'm here to bring you the latest LitRPG news, reviews, and of course, author interviews. This week, I'll be talking about the latest LitRPG news and the LitRPG pre-orders coming out, and new releases and reviews. I'll be talking about Heralds, The Proving Grounds, World Seeds, New Worlds, World Seeds Book 2, the Nagant Wars, a LitRPG novel, and Unbound Deathlord Challenge. We're going to begin, though, with LitRPG news. Okay, first bit of LitRPG news is going to be that Delvers LLC is on sale, but only in the United Kingdom, unfortunately. It's more than 50% off, and it's definitely a steal right now. If you have not purchased the book, it's definitely a really good book. I've already given my review on it in a previous podcast, and I can't, talk highly enough about it. It's a great story, great action, great magic adventure, buddy kind of story going on here. So go pick it up. If you're in the UK, you guys are getting the best deal in it right now, so I'm a little bit jealous. Also in LitRPG news, the Secret of the Dark Forest Way of the Shaman series book 3 as an Audible release is going to be available on November the 8th. So go pick that up if you enjoy Audible or audiobook stories in the LitRPG genre. I'm always happy to hear new LitRPG stories in the book series. I actually talked to Vasily Mahenko, the author of the series and this particular book in particular, a couple months ago. Really fun to talk to. He speaks English pretty well. It's a little broken. I had to look up a few English words or English equivalents to what he wanted to say. But it's a really fun interview. Go check it out at our podcast website at litrpgpodcast.com. He's right there on the front page. We'll also have a link in the show notes if you want to listen to that interview in which he talks about this book specifically, but he also spoils some of his future stories as well. We're going to move on to some upcoming LitRPG. The upcoming pre-order list is the same as it was last week. Dungeon Crawl, a LitRPG adventure, The Crucible Shard, Book 1, still coming out November the 17th. We have Homeland Ingame 2 coming out November the 19th. The Phantom Castle Way of the Shaman Book 4, November the 28th. Definitely looking forward to that one. The Cadet, LitRPG Squadcom 13 Book 1 by R. Russ, coming out December the 5th. Way of the Outcast, this is the third book in the Mirror World series, December the 19th. And of course, Video Game Plotline Tester, The Dark Herbalist Book 1 is available January the 3rd, 2017. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Read the first couple chapters of the book. It's available at Magic Dome Books. Only whetted my appetite for further story in that particular series. So I'm looking forward to that one. We're going to move on to, of course, new releases and reviews. Okay, new releases and reviews. First book we're talking about is going to be Heralds, The Proving Grounds by Wade Adrian. You might have already read an earlier book in this particular series. It's called Ultimatum, The Proving Grounds. This is actually a parallel story within the same time frame and in the same gaming universe. Author Wade Adrian says it takes place at the same time, but from the perspective of a group of players enlisted to work against the protagonist of the first book, and sheds new light on a number of events that you might already be familiar with or can see from Tobin's side in Ultimatum if you're not. Now, if you've never read the first book, Ultimatum, The Proving Grounds, you can still read this one, but you're not going to get the full text or context of what they're talking about in this particular parallel story. It's not really a sequel. It is a parallel story set along the same timeline as that other book, Ultimatum Proving Grounds. But it's an enjoyable series. You get to find a new group of adventurers doing things differently. You get to see new skill sets, explored within this particular story, player versus player stuff. It's an interesting, almost backstory, parallel universe thing. I enjoyed it immensely. I definitely encourage you to pick it up. 322 pages for $3.99 US dollar system. Pretty decent value, reasonably priced to me. But it's also available on Kindle Unlimited, so definitely encourage you to pick it up on there. Moving on to the Nagant Wars, a LitRPG novel, Nagant Wars Series Book 1. written by Jaden Hunter, fellow member of the LitRPG Facebook group. Definitely happy to see that he published something. He's been working on this for a real long time, so happy to see that he's actually come out with it. It's 501 pages, quite a good book size, for $4.99. Also available on Kindle Unlimited. Again, reasonably priced. Kindle Unlimited, always love to read my stories there. Makes me worth value for the program. The storyline is a little wonky. The first 15% of the book doesn't quite make sense as a lit RPG story, but once you get past that 15%, it all gets lit RPG all over the place. A multi-universe war is brewing, and the Earth must prepare to fight in the Nagant wars or be eradicated. Game mechanics are overlaid on our reality so that war can be judged fairly. The United States conscripts our main character, Dale, disrupting his life, but also giving him the chance to see and do things no other human has ever done. Again, this is a really good story. It turns into a kind of military sci-fi fantasy lit RPG story. There's lots of action, adventure, great quests. It begins quite fantasy-like and morphs into something a little bit later. But there's a lot of potential in the story and in the universe that's created and crafted to do a lot of fun and interesting things. I definitely enjoyed reading it. It was an interesting departure from straight traditional fantasy. So I enjoyed it. And again, 501 pages. You can't complain about the length. So go pick it up. It's a good one. On to World Seed, New Rules. This is actually the second book in the World Seed series. The description is rather brief. Join John Hewlett as he continues his journey through the world of Neolife, bringing his experiences and powers to play on Earth to aid against the coming storm. What exactly does the future hold for mankind? Now, if you haven't read anything in the World Seed series, I highly question your dedication to LitRPG. This is definitely one of the best stories out there. It's originally written on the Royal Road as a free amateur book, but it has since migrated to Amazon as a fully fledged and edited story. Book 1 introduces us to the world of Neolife, the most advanced virtual reality game in the world, of course. People jump into these pods and they experience 4 times, I think it is, a kind of compression in the game world. And they go on adventures. It's a sci-fi fantasy virtual reality game that's highly complex. The game mechanics are amazing and spot on and interesting and allow for a variety of possibilities. Barbarian orcs that are cyborgs, tentacle wielding aliens with swords, any combination of sci-fi and fantasy you can think of are available in this particular virtual reality world. That's all of book 1. Our main character John chooses a class, explores those possibilities of magic and adventure. It's really fun and interesting. I definitely enjoyed the first book. Now, in book 2, this story continues. Odd things are happening in the real world as John continues to develop his character in Neolife. New pods are appearing magically in everyone's homes. Monsters are appearing on Earth. And the game skills and magic that John has learned in Neolife are actually translated and working in our realities. So it's a very interesting mix. This is where a lot more of the sci-fi picks up in the storyline, and it gets really nice. And I do have to warn you, the story plotline does get a little bit haremy as you progress on. So if that's an issue for you, sorry. But to me, even if you don't like that particular portion of it, the story is worth your investment of time. Now, the only drawback, of course, is going to be the price here. This is a LitRPG serial, so expect this kind of pricing for this kind of word count. It is 186 pages for $3.99. So maybe slightly overpriced, but to me, this is an amazing story that's definitely worth the cost. I enjoy serial stories like this, and this is really good. So I'm more than happy to pay the price, to plunk it down and read the story. You can also, of course, read the story on Royal Road and other online sources. Just do a quick search for World Seed. But it's great. Justin Miller did a great job on writing the series, and I encourage you, pick it up as an Amazon book. Get the author some money for his hard work. It's an amazing series, and definitely one of the ones that I always check on Royal Road on a regular basis to see for new chapters. It's that addictive as a storyline. Okay, moving on to Unbound Deathlord Challenge, written by Edward Castle. Now, I do have to disclose that Edward Castle was nice enough to send me a gift of his book as an ebook. With no strings attached. He said it's a gift, but I feel it's only fair to disclose that to the viewing audience. I already read it on the Royal Rail. This is actually a story that I've been reading for a while. It's enjoyable, but it was originally a Royal Road story. Edward Castle then published it. He polished it with editing. A lot of people helped him out. He gives plenty of acknowledgement to all the hard work that his beta readers and his editor did, and it really shows in this final product. It is a hefty 675 pages at $5.99 again, U.S. currency. It is also available on Kindle Unlimited. The book was also a runner-up for the Aspirant Awards, a LitRPG award. So he didn't win, but he came in second place. So good job on him. That just kind of shows some of the enthusiasm within the LitRPG community for this particular storyline. Again, I've already reviewed this as a railroad story on our site at litrpgpodcast.com. But this is a better version. It's clean. The story is streamlined a little bit more, but it still has the same sense of adventure and action and interesting race types, interesting quests and adventures, and it's a good read. The storyline, the description on Amazon is a little bit lengthy, so I'm gonna brief it down for you. There's a period at the beginning that's kind of a woe is me kind of storyline, which I tend to skip over. Essentially, our main character Jack voluntarily enters a full immersion VR world as the Deathlord. Now, there's a subplot of a contest in here where if he dies, he loses the contest. So he's highly enthusiastic and incentivized not to die, and not even once, as his character. But he chooses the character race of Deathlords, who are not, they're kind of undead, but they're not your traditional zombie or wimpy skeletons. They're more aligned to, I guess, a lich, without necessarily being wizards that choose a magical path. It's an interesting, unique character race, and they have the potential to be the most powerful race in the game if they can survive through the tough tutorial, the vampires that hate them, the other bound Deathlords, and all the races of light that want to kill them on sight. So there are definitely challenges for this race, but it can potentially be, of course, the best race, character race in the game. The story is again full of action and excitement that'll keep you reading to the wee hours of the morning. The main character is a little bit overpowered, but it's okay. This story is good enough to last on its own, and I definitely liked the story myself. Again, it also is available on Kindle Unlimited, so you have no reason not to read this particular story by Edward Castle. So, but also want to give a quick shout out to Edward for publishing his work. I always like to say to these guys, good job. I'm really proud of everyone who's publishing their first novels on Amazon. It's a hard thing, so good on you, folks. And that is going to be it for the show, folks. That's it for the podcast. We're done. And again, this podcast only exists because of you guys who love LitRPG as much as I do. So thank you for listening and watching. And again, if you want to find out ways to support the podcast, you can do so at litrpgpodcast.com/support. But until the next time I see you guys, remember to go read some LitRPG.